So I am Crocodile now. Crocodile sat in a bright hall with a confused look on his face. Outside the window in front of him, huge banana crocodiles swam slowly from time to time, and there were a few people making a lot of noise behind him. With his right hand covering his head that was about to split in pain, the golden hook in his left hand swayed in front of his eyes, shining brightly. I was just drunk. How did I end up in the world of pirates? This is too ridiculous. He was originally a middle-level manager of a company on Blue Star. After years of hard work, he had the potential to be promoted to a senior position. Unexpectedly, he was framed by a competitor, eventually fired by the company, and almost involved in a lawsuit. Crocodile, feeling disheartened, drank to drown his sorrows at home, and when he sobered up, he found himself sitting in this room. At the same time, memories of Crocodile flooded into his mind. The plot seems to have reached the day when Crocodile first met the senior agents of Baroque Studios. How should I deal with this so that I won't be seen as a fake? Especially Nico Robin. This woman is too smart. Crocodile brain was working rapidly, constantly digesting Crocodile memories. But what's strange is that Crocodile only found Crocodile memories from the past 20 years. That is to say, Crocodile, who was 46 years old this year, only has some of his memories after he was 26 years old. There is only a blank as to what happened in the previous 26 years. Crocodile. I have always been curious about Crocodile original gender, but now I can't find the answer. I have to say that Crocodile is a real conspirator. Just a weak organization like Baroque Studio, plus some dancing fans, has pushed such a large country to the brink of destruction. Crocodile slowly opened his eyes and sighed. Crocodile dream is to become the Pirate King. However, from the moment I traveled through time and space and became him, such a dream seemed petty. At least I have to overthrow the world nobles and build a brand new world, which is in line with my identity as a time traveler. Ding, the host. Great ambition has been detected. So the strongest training camp is open to assist the host. The strongest training camp, you can spend Bailey to learn various skills in the training camp. The host has learned the skill and can enhance others at half the cost. How to enter? Silently recite in your mind. Strongest training camp. Crocodile was daydreaming when suddenly an abrupt electronic sound rang in his mind. I thought my cheat code was just for knowing the plot, but I didn't expect it to be something called the strongest training camp. It was a pleasant surprise. Just as Crocodile was about to find out the truth about this golden finger, everyone in the room suddenly fell silent, and only Nico Robin's charming and mature voice echoed in the empty hall. But before that, I must introduce myself. The boss of our company that you have never seen before. Until now, I have been directing you to work for him. But now, there is no need for that. Crocodile was stunned. It seemed that it was his turn to appear. Well, let's study it slowly. After the golden finger, with a light push of the toes, Crocodile chair turned towards the crowd. Everyone was shocked. Crocodile Miss pointed her fingers and her pupils shrank. Why are the 7 warlords of the sea our bosses? Ms. Merry Christmas exclaimed. A big shot has really appeared. MR2 looked incredulous. So we are the pirates' men. MR1 pupil shrank and he said in a deep voice, I never thought that you are our boss. MR4 was sweating profusely and was too scared to speak. Is there anyone who disagrees? Crocodile narrowed his eyes and said with a gloomy face. Everyone in the room immediately fell silent, too frightened to say a word. Crocodile appearance and his identity as one of the 7 warlords of the sea brought a strong sense of oppression to everyone in the room. Only Miss bravely pointed her fingers and asked, it not that I don't agree. The 7 warlords of the sea are pirates approved by the government to plunder. Why do they want to set up this company? I need the military might of Alabasta. Alabasta's standing military strength reaches 600,000. Even if there are no strong ones, it is still a huge force in the pirate world. If we take control of this country and select talented warriors to train them, the future will be limitless. I don't want to waste time on the ancient weapon Pluto. Crocodile. God knows if this thing really exists. Maybe it has already disappeared in the long river of history. The first small goal of establishing this company is to control Alabasta and build an ideal country. The ultimate goal, I will tell you once we achieve the first small goal. Nico Robin's heart sank when he heard this. Why didn't he tell her that his real target was the ancient weapon Pluto? This man really doesn't trust anyone as always. So, our mission this time is to complete this huge plan, MR1 said in a deep voice. That right. Since the establishment of Baroque Studio, all your work has been in preparation for this goal, Crocodile replied. Crocodile plan can be said to be perfect, except for the variable of the Straw Hat Pirates. Crocodile basically doesn't need to think anymore, he just needs to carry out Crocodile plan and make some minor changes. Alabasta can't escape his control at all. This is the final mission of this operation. Burn it. After reading it, Crocodile distributed the pieces of paper that Crocodile had prepared in advance to everyone. When each of you completes your mission, this country will be renamed and fall under the control of our Baroque works. The action will begin at 12 o'clock tomorrow. Only success is allowed, no failure. Learn. Can we put this battle plan on hold for now? Everyone turned around and saw MR3 slowly walking down the stairs. MR3, where on earth did you show up? I am going to follow orders and get rid of you. MR2 jumped up angrily and shouted. MR3 failed in his last mission and was ordered to be executed by Crocodile, and the executor was MR2. Wait a moment, MR2. Listen to what he has to say, Crocodile said as he slowly took a sip of coffee. MR2 then stopped in disappointment. MR3 tremblingly recounted the entire story of how the mission had failed. Crocodile already knew the whole story and did not interrupt him. Boss, I am here just to ask you to give me another chance. MR3 came to Crocodile, bowed and asked humbly. Crocodile didn't say anything, and no one dared to speak. The scene was suffocatingly depressing. MR3 didn't get a response from Crocodile for a long time. His heart gradually grew colder and fear continued to spread. He was shaking like a sieve and drops of cold sweat were dripping down his forehead. He had already heard how cruel this boss' methods were. Before coming, he had already thought about the various tortures and even death he would face. However, this is better than living in fear of being hunted all day long. If the mission is not completed, MR3 will die. Is Crocodile going to do it himself? I am really looking forward to what kind of punishment MR3 will receive. Everyone in the room was speculating about MR3's fate. Bang! At this moment, a big, hard hand pressed heavily on MR3's shoulder and helped him up. MR3's heart seemed to be tightly grasped by someone at this moment. Thank you for your hard work, MR3. A low and emotionless voice sounded. You have been on this long journey. Go take a bath and relax. We have an important task for you next. What? MR3 couldn't believe his ears. Tears of emotion instantly flowed out like a spring. Boss, he was so excited that he couldn't speak. Miss pointed her finger. It's not bad to follow a boss like this. Miss Merry Christmas pounded the table. I am lucky I didn't get punished. MR2 was so excited that he danced with joy. Mr. Zero-chan is so gentle. MR1 had a blank expression on his face, and no one knew what he was thinking. MR4 smiled foolishly and scratched his head. Crocodile, how could he let MR3, who failed the mission, go so easily? Or maybe he has other plans that need MR3 to execute. Nico Robin felt that she was increasingly unable to understand Crocodile. The failure of your mission this time has a lot to do with the intelligence errors. I will not pursue it further, but you still have to work hard to complete your mission. What the point of someone who always fails? As Crocodile spoke, he turned and placed his hand on the table behind him. As soon as he finished speaking, the long wooden table in front of him instantly turned into countless sand and scattered on the ground. You understand me? Everyone present was so shocked that their jaws dropped to the ground and their faces turned green. It turned into sand. What a terrifying ability! If the table was replaced by a person, it would have the same fate. Right? Crocodile moves successfully made these incompetent subordinates realize the horror of Crocodile. Having been a small leader for many years, he knew very well that the way to control subordinates was to use both kindness and severity, so that these people would be obedient. Before, Crocodile was too cold-blooded and ruthless, and he didn't trust anyone. In the end, Only MR1 was willing to follow him. It was so miserable. Crocodile certainly won't make the same mistake he did. And the Straw Hat Pirates. Once we complete our mission tomorrow, we will destroy them all. If they knew my identity, it would cause considerable trouble to the plan. Crocodile ordered slowly. Understood. Everyone hurriedly lowered their heads in response. Let go. Crocodile nodded and walked out leisurely. These subordinates are currently destined to be unable to defeat the Straw Hat Pirates who have the aura of the protagonist. However, in order for the plan to proceed smoothly, they still have to create some trouble for the Straw Hat Pirates. Moreover, these subordinates' previous tasks had gone too smoothly, so letting them experience some setbacks may not be a bad thing. Nico Robin stared at Crocodile back and thought, it seems that he is not a butcher who only knows how to kill. The evaluation of him needs to change. Back in his bedroom, Crocodile carefully felt Crocodile abilities. Crocodile use of the fruit ability is already extremely outstanding, and can be called genius. However, the strength still depends on the use of Haki. Crocodile was too obsessed with the power of the fruit, and ultimately fell behind. The strongest training camp. Crocodile silently recited the name of Goldfinger in his mind. As soon as he finished speaking, his vision went dark and then bright. Crocodile found himself in an empty room. Apart from himself, there was only a huge light curtain inside. Various abilities were listed on the light screen with their prices clearly marked. There are even many skills of existing fruit ability users, but the price is very unfriendly. For example, the space transfer of Tyrant Bear and Kizaru Yasukani no Magatrama cost as much as 450 million belly. Moreover, the awakening of the fruit ability would cost 1 billion belly at a time, which made Crocodile speechless. How can I read so many? I don't know if they're a search function. I only want to read things related to Haki right now, Crocodile muttered. Unexpectedly, as soon as Crocodile finished speaking, the light curtain cooperated and cleared up, and a lot of content about domineering appeared. Armament Haki, primary, 50 million berries. Armament Haki, intermediate, 200 million berries. Armament Haki, advanced, 400 million berries. Armament Haki, Rusakura, 1 billion berries. Observation Haki, basic, 50 million Bailey's. Observation Haki, intermediate, 200 million berries. Observation Haki, advanced, 400 million berries. Observation Haki, foreseeing the future, 1 billion berries. Conqueror Haki, basic, 1 billion berries. Conqueror Haki, intermediate, 2 billion berries. Overlord Haki, advanced, 3 billion berries. Conqueror Haki, Kenwensha, 5 billion berries. Overlord Color Entanglement, 2 billion berries. My goodness, this price is so touching. Just to learn the 3-color domineering to the highest level, it will cost nearly 20 billion. Moreover, if you want to fight against strong men of Kaido and Whitebeard level, the strength of Haki is only one factor. Basic attributes such as physical skills, strength, defense, agility, and fruit ability must also match the level of domineering, which must be another huge amount of money. Otherwise, it would be like a 3-year-old holding a desert eagle, hurting himself instead of others. Crocodile looked at the string of characters displayed in the upper right corner of the screen and felt like crying. Personal assets, 43,788,900 Bailey. Crocodile has put in a lot of effort to invade Alabasta, and has almost spent all the money he has accumulated over the years. There are only more than 40 million belly left, which is barely enough for Crocodile to learn the basic level of armament Haki, and the improvement is not that big. We are short of money. Where can I get so much money? Crocodile felt very headache. It seems that there will be no problem in taking Alabasta at the moment. It is almost certain to succeed. Perhaps we should think of a way to turn this desert country into a cash cow. Alabasta doesn't have any valuable specialties, let alone any pillar industries. If you want to make money here, you have to think hard. The next day, in order to prevent any complications with the Utopia plan, Crocodile decided to complete the process that Crocodile had already arranged. Early in the morning, he arrived at the secret basement in advance, waiting for his first meeting with the protagonist Luffy and others. During this period, MR3 was assigned new tasks, To retrieve MR5, Valentine Day and Golden Week. Not long after Crocodile lit up his third cigar, these brainless idiots fell into a sea-stone cell as expected. Listening to their funny conversation, Crocodile almost couldn't help laughing out loud. It turns out that crosstalk is more interesting when it is performed live. Just as Zorro and Smoker were about to fight, Crocodile spoke out at the right time. "You two are going to die together. How can you draw your swords against each other?" Hearing this voice, the Straw Hat guys and Smoker all turned their heads to look over here with nervous expressions. Crocodile slowly turned his chair and stood up, smiling. "As a fan of One Piece, it would be a lie if I didn't feel excited when I saw the Straw Hat Pirates in real life for the first time. Luffy is a skinny little brat. I don't see any special qualities about him. Zoro is really cool. There a reason why he liked by everyone. Even if Nami is too frightened to move, it doesn't affect her beauty at all. But Usopp looks really weird. How can a normal person have such a long nose?" Smoker face is as ugly as Crocodile. After a brief moment of excitement, Crocodile put away his smile. "Are you Crocodile? Hey, you bastard, fight me!" Luffy got up and shouted angrily at Crocodile. But then he grabbed the sea stone railing with his hands, and the way he fell limply almost broke Crocodile defense again. "Straw Hat boy, it's hard for you to run so far to fall into this trap. However, there is another important guest on the way. I will send you off when she arrives. My partner has gone to pick her up. Please wait patiently for a moment." It was almost noon. Crocodile comfortably enjoyed his sumptuous lunch, occasionally taking time to chat with the Straw Hat gang in their cage. Crocodile, an angry voice called Crocodile name. Crocodile turned around and saw a beautiful blue-haired girl, as beautiful as an elf, standing at the end of the steps. "Welcome to the Rainland, Princess Vivi," Crocodile said with a grin. But that world-weary face looks scary no matter how you look at it when he smiles. "Of course I will come, no matter where you are. I want you dead." Vivi's delicate little face was full of hatred for Crocodile. "If you didn't came to Alabasta, there would be peace here forever." As he said this, he swung his weapon and rushed towards Crocodile. Crocodile paid no attention to the other actions and leisurely puffed on his cigar. When Vivi Peacock saw was about to approach, Crocodile moved. He tilted his head to avoid the seemingly fatal blow, and his arm, which had turned into sand, suddenly stretched out. The big hand grabbed Vivi's slender neck and lifted her up high. Crocodile was not Crocodile, and was not used to being hit randomly. Even if the opponent attack could not cause any damage to him. What a naive child! How could there be a country in the world that is always at peace? Crocodile chuckled as he tilted his head. "Vivi asshole, let go of Vivi." "Crocodile, I am going to kill you!" Luffy and the others shouted angrily, trying to stop Crocodile from hurting Vivi any further. Vivi was having trouble breathing and tried desperately to pry Crocodile hands apart, but to no avail. "The Nefertari family has ruled Alabasta for so many years, it is time for them to abdicate." "Ahem, why us ahem? The people of Alastan have always lived in peace." Vivi covered her neck and coughed violently, but still glared at Crocodile and said, "In the eyes of you rulers, do the people only deserve stability? Are they destined to live a life of poverty and hunger? Look at this huge country, it on the verge of extinction just because of the lack of rain. They could have lived a better life instead of relying on the weather for their livelihood. For ordinary people, is it enough just to live?" Princess Vivi. Hearing Vivi words, Crocodile became furious and questioned in a voice even angrier than hers. Vivi was struck by lightning when she heard that, and her eyes lost focus. Growing up with a silver spoon in her mouth, she had never really considered the feelings of ordinary people. Crocodile words made her doubt her long-held beliefs. Crocodile loosened his grip, and Vivi slumped down on the table as if her spine had been taken away. But, many people have lost their homes and their lives." Vivi lowered her head and said tearfully. No one could see her expression clearly. Crocodile turned his back to Vivi and took a long drag on his cigar. "Do you think that if I told your father Cobra to hand over the country to me, he would agree? Or, if I go to war directly against this country, how many people do you think will die on the road to the ideal country?" Some people death is inevitable. Operation Utopia must have been successful by now. The country of Alabasta will change hands starting tomorrow. Are you ready to welcome the birth of a new country? Princess Vivi Crocodile. A mere pirate actually wants to steal a country. This is definitely a big event. You must report it as soon as possible after you get out. Smoker Face was extremely solemn when he heard this. Damn Crocodile, let me out. I am going to beat you away. Luffy grabbed the sea stone fence and shouted weakly. Vivi Nami looked at Vivi with a distressed look on her face. Zoro gripped the hilt of the knife tightly in his right hand, staring at Crocodile with gritted teeth, wishing he could chop him with the knife right away. Operation Utopia. Vivi looked up blankly. What on earth did you do? Haha, it's not important anymore. Crocodile exhaled a puff of cigarette. I can only tell you that there are more than 100,000 fully armed rebels rushing towards Albana, ready to fight to the death with the King Army. What, father? Kasha. Vivi's face was full of despair. Oh, there one more thing I forgot to tell you. This secret basement will sink into the lake in Rainy Land in an hour, Crocodile said as he took out a key and threw it on the ground. Whether the Straw Hat Pirates can survive depends entirely on you. Suddenly a hole appeared in the floor and the key fell straight down. By the time Vivi reacted and tried to take it, a banana crocodile had already staggered out from a passage and swallowed the key. Vivi bit her lips helplessly and trembled all over, trying not to let the tears flow. We will take our leave now, Crocodile said, and left with Robin without looking back, heading for the royal capital, Albana. After the two walked a distance away, Nico Robin finally couldn't help but speak. Is it really okay to leave them here? If Vivi meets Kosa, the rebellion might be stopped. No, the battle for Utopia is already a done deal, and it's not something that Vivi can stop. Even if Kosa wants to stop now, I am afraid he can't do it. As for the Straw Hats, they can't die, Crocodile explained patiently. MRO seems to think highly of them, including Vivi. Crocodile suddenly stopped and looked down at Nico Robin with his white eyes. Nico Robin's breath was suddenly choked. The moody Crocodile always makes her feel very stressed unintentionally. I just don't understand why you went to so much trouble to lure them here and then do nothing, Nico Robin explained in a panic. The Straw Hat Pirates will play an important role in my future plans, so they can't die. And they won't die. Leaving them here now is just to reduce the variables of the Utopia operation. From what I know, there is still a man and a pet from the Straw Hat Pirates who haven't shown up yet. They will definitely come to rescue us after we leave. As for Ms. Wednesday, I never said that she was allowed to quit Baroque Works. Crocodile is really an ambitious man. Alabasta is probably just a pawn in his future plans. The whole world may be plunged into a bloody storm because of this man. Nico Robin was filled with endless worry, but she just whispered, I see. Let go. They're a good show waiting for us in Albana, Crocodile called. In the underground secret room of Baroque Workshop, several floors had been opened and the lake water was pouring into the house frantically. Vivi, cheer up, don't believe Crocodile lies. You still have friends like us. We will accompany you to Albana to stop the rebellion, Nami encouraged loudly. Princess Vivi, please find a way to open this door quickly. The Navy will not sit idly by and watch Crocodile conspiracy, Smoker said in a deep voice. Vivi, let me out, I want to beat Crocodile away, Luffy shouted angrily. Vivi, find the key quickly, we are about to drown, Usopp shouted in horror. Yes, I still have these friends. I can't continue to be so depressed. Vivi wiped her tears and got up. Everyone hold on for a while. I will go out and look for help. I will definitely rescue everyone, he said and ran out. Crocodile and Nico Robin had just walked out of the main entrance of the rain banquet. A large group of members of the Baroque Workshop were lying on the ground. Crocodile didn't need to ask to know that it was the guy with the curled eyebrows who did it. A familiar figure flashed by at the corner of the street in the distance. Do you need me to deal with them, MRO? Nico Robin said. No. Let them be. Crocodile just glanced at them and then looked away. Crocodile didn't want to have any more trouble. If the Straw Hat Boy discovered his weakness of being afraid of water, it would be very troublesome. All he wanted now was to get to Albana as quickly as possible and reap the fruits of Crocodile's painstaking efforts. Vivi had been following the two of them, and was overjoyed to see that they had left. Sanji, who sneaked into the rain banquet, also discovered Vivi at this time. After the two met, they hurried to rescue Luffy and others. Enter the secret basement again. At this time, the water in the room had already reached above everyone's calves. Several banana crocodiles were constantly destroying the sea stone cage, trying to eat the people inside. There are also crocodiles entering the hull continuously from the underground pipes. What should we do, Sanji? The key has been swallowed by one of the crocodiles, Vivi said in panic. Nami-chan, I am here to save you. Have you fallen in love with me? Sanji instantly turned into a fangirl again when he saw Nami. Sanji, there's no time. Please kill these crocodiles instantly, Usopp shouted in horror. I have no strength again, Luffy said weakly while soaking in the water. I have fallen in love with it. I have fallen in love with it. Hurry up and get us out of this thing. Nami sighed helplessly. It is an honor to serve you, beautiful lady, Sanji said, bowing with loving eyes. Idiot, stop being such a fangirl at a time like this, Zoro scolded him angrily. Sanji then became serious. Kill the third crocodile that appears. The key is in its stomach. At this time, Smoker, who had been silent all the time, suddenly spoke. You can even tell the difference. Everyone was amazed. Are your ears decorations? It makes the same sound as the crocodile that just swallowed the key. Smoker's face was grim, staring at the crocodile he was talking about. Upon hearing this, Sanji also fixed his eyes on the crocodile. After a cool flying kick, the crocodile really spat out a key. Luffy and the others who were released vented all their pent-up anger since being imprisoned on the remaining crocodiles. But after a violent outburst by several people, the secret room finally collapsed and the lake water poured into the house. Fortunately, the few people who had never eaten devil fruits were good at swimming, and everyone escaped safely. Even Smoker was rescued by Zoro. Fortunately, this naval lieutenant knew how to repay his gratitude and did not make things difficult for Luffy and the others, otherwise a fierce battle would have been inevitable. Vivi, cheer up. Don't believe what Crocodile says. We must rush to Albana to stop the rebels as soon as possible, otherwise many people will die in this conflict. Seeing that Vivi was still distraught, Nami tried to comfort her again. Vivi finally regained some of her spirits and bowed deeply to everyone, saying, I am sorry for causing you all to suffer so much. Vivi, you don't need to apologize, we are partners. Luffy was serious for once and spoke in a serious tone. It is a knight duty to defeat the scum who bullies beautiful ladies. Sanji lit another cigarette and said with squinted eyes. Yeah, Vivi was so moved that tears welled up in her eyes and she nodded vigorously. I won't let him succeed. Let go. Destination Albana. Luffy raised his fist and shouted. Marineford, Naval Headquarters. Marshal Sengoku was eating senbei comfortably. Carp was sleeping soundly on the sofa, bubbles coming out of his nose. Bolo bolo, bolo bolo. The phone suddenly rang. Hello, this is Sengoku. Sengoku answered the phone casually. Marshal Sengoku, this is Smoker. Something big is happening in Alabasta. I am here now. Smoker deep voice came from the phone. What the matter? Sengoku face straightened and his tone became serious when he heard this. Smoker recounted everything he had seen and heard in Alabasta, and expressed his assessment of the situation going forward. Crocodile is such a bastard. Pirates are really unreliable. Even the 7 warlords of the sea have started to stir up trouble. Sengoku roared angrily. Smoker, don't act rashly. Continue to collect evidence of crocodile crimes. I will send Vice Admiral Garp. Smoker said anxiously. Marshal, I request the immediate arrest of Crocodile. Otherwise the situation will get out of control. You just need to follow orders. Sengoku replied coldly. Yes, Smoker responded helplessly. Garp, I am sure you heard what Smoker said on the phone just now. Sengoku said to Garp, who had already woken up. It's just one of the 7 warlords of the sea. You can just send a vice admiral. I am just about to take a vacation, Garp said nonchalantly while picking his nose. Crocodile fruit ability is sand. He is absolutely at home in Alabasta. the country of sand. Ordinary people can do nothing to him. We need someone powerful enough to subdue him in a short period of time. Otherwise, if we fail to capture him and anger him, I am afraid the entire Alabasta will be destroyed by him. You seem to be the only one who has some free time at the moment. In addition, your grandson, the Straw Hat Boy, is also in that country now, Sengoku explained with a somewhat helpless tone. 10 extra days of vacation. Carp held up 10 fingers. 3 days at most, Sengoku shouted dissatisfiedly. 7 days, no less, Carp argued. 5 days, not even a minute more. Sengoku slammed the table angrily. Hey, deal. Cap stood up and left with a grin. Early morning. Outside Albania, the senior agents of Baroque Works are discussing fiercely how to prevent Vivi from entering the city. The kidnapped Cobra was sitting on the ground with a dejected look on his face and fell asleep. Just then, a gust of yellow sand swept in from the sky. Before they could react, the yellow sand had already condensed into a human figure behind them. It was Crocodile, who had arrived overnight. Good morning, everyone. Everyone was startled and turned around. Boss MRO little zero sauce, haha, thank you for your hard work, everyone, Crocodile said, trying to prevent his subordinates from being too scared of him. But what he didn't know was that his smile was even more creepy. In order to cover the entry of Ms. Wednesday into the city, the Straw Hat Pirates will probably split up and enter from several gates of Albania. You can rush there first. If I am lucky, I might just be able to stop her. Your Majesty, leave this to me. Crocodile word sounded reasonable, and several people had no objection and responded at the same time. Understood. Cobra heard the noise and slowly woke up, looking at Crocodile with hostility. Crocodile walked forward and used the golden hook in his left hand to pick up the rope that trapped Cobra, which immediately broke. Crocodile, Cobra said hatefully. Cobra, you don't have to hate me so much. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. It's such a simple truth. As a king, you should understand it, right? Based on all the evil things you have done to Alabasta, I can't wait to eat your flesh and drink your blood. Cobra said, gritting his teeth. Evil things, haha. If you listen to what I am going to say next, you will probably be grateful to me on behalf of the people of Alabasta. Crocodile chuckled. Huh? Do you think I am a 3-year-old child you can hand over a country to me with just a few sweet words? Cobra snorted coldly. Crocodile, however, didn't care and turned to look towards the royal capital of Albania. Alabasta is a country built on the desert. Even after thousands of years, it has remained unchanged and filled with an air of pedantry and poverty. Why do you think that is? What a stupid question, Cobra said disdainfully. Of course this is God will. As long as the gods send down rain, this country will naturally become prosperous. Even after the dancing powder incident, do you still think so? That because Cobra wanted to say something, but suddenly lost his voice, and a look of dejection appeared on his face. Ha ha ha, I heard that King Cobra loves his people like his own children and is a benevolent king. But today you showed me what incompetence is. Crocodile chuckled. For the people of Alabasta, I am willing to sacrifice my life. Cobra seemed to be touched on a sore spot and shouted excitedly. If I say I can revitalize this country and make it prosperous, would you believe it? Crocodile approached Cobra, squatted down and looked directly at him. Ha ha. Unless you are really a god. Cobra smiled bitterly and shook his head. Really? Crocodile grinned, took a few dozen steps in one direction, then suddenly bent down and pressed his right hand on the ground. The surrounding sand began to surge wildly, as if it had life, and soon a huge sand pit appeared. But Crocodile didn't stop. The sand pit became bigger and deeper. More than 10 breaths passed, until the scope of the sand pit exceeded 100 meters. Crocodile slowly stood up, took a deep puff of the cigar, and then exhaled forcefully. King Cobra, you can come and take a look. Cobra didn't understand Crocodile intention, but he still stood up obediently and walked towards the pit. When he approached the pit and saw the scene inside, his breathing became rapid. How is it possible? In the big sand pit created by Crocodile, there was a bubble as thick as a wellhead, with groundwater bubbling out, and soon it gathered into a puddle. What seems impossible to you is just a piece of cake for me. Because, in the desert, I am God. Why, you clearly have this kind of power that is almost divine, but you have to watch so many people become displaced. Cobra seemed to have lost all his strength. He knelt on the ground with his hands buried in the sand. This country is like a rotten ship, destined to sink one day. Only by destroying it and rebuilding it can the new ship carry people out to sea again and face the wind and waves. How about handing the country over to me? I can definitely let the citizens here live the most prosperous life. Crocodile stretched out a hand to Cobra and spoke slowly. You have a bigger plan, right? As a pirate, how could you be so kind for no reason? Cobra glanced at Crocodile hand, then turned his head away. Yes, I need Alabasta military might, Crocodile said calmly. Let the people have a taste of the sweetness first, and then die for your ambition, right? Cobra glared at Crocodile. A prosperous and wealthy country without a strong military force is like a child carrying a gold brick through a busy market. Isn't it human nature to want to protect your beautiful life even at the cost of your life? Crocodile answered as a matter of course. Just give up. Even if you want to kill me, I won't agree. Even if it makes them poorer, at least they can keep their lives. Cobra looked like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. Leave a life, ha ha ha. Crocodile was not angry when he heard this, but laughed instead. Let go, it almost time. After we go to the capital, maybe you will change your mind. After saying that, he grabbed Cobra, turned into yellow sand and flew towards Albana Palace. Under Crocodile conspiracy, Vivi failed to see Kosa stop the rebels. After arriving at the palace under Luffy escort, Vivi decided to stop the rebellion by blowing up the palace. Just as she was directing the soldiers to set up the explosives and prepare to ignite them, Crocodile arrived in time with Cobra. Nico Robin also arrived at the same time. After a gust of wind, the soldiers who lit the fire were blown high into the sky and then fell heavily to the ground. Ms. Wednesday, this is your home. It would be a shame if it was blown up, Crocodile said. Oh, Straw Hat Boy is here too. Crocodile, you bastard, Luffy cursed angrily. Shut up and don't call me that anymore, Vivi shouted angrily. Don't even think about blowing up the palace. As long as it can stop the rebellion, it doesn't matter even if it kills me. They are indeed father and daughter. Even their tone when they die heroically is the same. Crocodile really wanted to applaud them at this moment, but unfortunately he found that he only had one hand. But, if you are being frank, this is a bit unnecessary. Crocodile chuckled. What do you mean? Vivi's pupils shrank and she had a bad feeling. I have arranged for someone to place a bomb with a killing range of 5 kilometers in the square of Albana. At 4:30 in the afternoon, the rebels and the King Army in the entire square, totaling hundreds of thousands of people, will be wiped out with a loud bang. Then I will kill you and put the blame on the rebels. The remaining people will surely beg me, a national hero, to become their king. Crocodile, you butcher, executioner. Cobra cursed. How can this be? How can you be so cruel? Vivi bit her lips in despair, tears welling up in her eyes. King Cobra, can you reconsider my proposal to you just now? Crocodile grinned at Cobra. Hey, Crocodile, if I beat you up, the country will be able to return to normal. Right before Cobra could speak, Luffy, with his face buried in the shadows, spoke without any emotion. Oh, then you can try it. Crocodile tilted his head and said nonchalantly. Rubber machine gun. Luffy attacked Crocodile without saying a word. Also taking action at the same time were the 2 guardian gods of Alabasta, Gaga and Bell. Sand shield. Crocodile waved his hand, and a thick wall of sand instantly stood up in front of him. However, this wall failed to stop Luffy's fist and turned into countless flying sand in the blink of an eye. To Luffy's surprise, when the wall disappeared, his opponent also disappeared. The entire palace was covered by the sudden yellow sand. Luffy couldn't see where Crocodile was at all, and he could not help but look around vigilantly. Get out here, Crocodile, Luffy yelled. Crocodile didn't say anything, just quietly looking for an opportunity. His first target was the jackal. Desert Great Sword. Crocodile pressed the ground with his right hand. A huge sand sword shot out from the ground without warning, and a huge wound instantly appeared on Jakka's abdomen, with blood spurting out. After letting out a scream, Gaka lay motionless on the ground. Next is Falcon Bell, who was flying in the sky constantly searching for Crocodile. Crocodile transformed his body into a semi-elemental form, and in just 2 breaths, he was already behind Belle. "Are you looking for me, little sparrow?" What Belle was shocked and was about to escape, but a golden hook had already pierced his body. Belle also screamed. Crocodile swung Belle hard like he was throwing away garbage, and Belle fell heavily to the ground. "Damn it!" Luffy heard 2 screams, but still couldn't find Crocodile. He was furious. "Crocodile, the 7 warlords of the sea don't dare to confront me head-on for me. It's just about winning." Just as Luffy finished his words, Crocodile silently condensed into a human form behind him and grabbed Luffy's neck. Any means are acceptable. The desert cage was activated, and most of the water in Luffy's body was immediately absorbed. This would not kill him immediately, but would completely deprive him of his combat effectiveness. "This cheating guy, if you give him some water after he done something, he will be revived with full health immediately." Vivi hurried over to check. Crocodile walked towards Cobra again. "Now that your last support is gone, is there anything else you want to say?" Cobra remained silent. "Father, please hand over the country to him." "We have no hope anymore," Vivi cried loudly. With Luffy defenseless defeat, Vivi's inner defenses have completely collapsed. But Cobra was still hesitating. "Don't you see, even if all of us die, he can still take over this country?" Cobra lowered his head, his face full of dejection. "Crocodile, I am willing to abdicate the throne of Alabasta, the kingdom of sand, to you. I hope you can do what you said before." "The throne? No, no, no. When did I ever say I wanted to be king?" Crocodile chuckled and waved his index finger. What Cobra was surprised and couldn't figure out what he was trying to do. "The 5 elders will surely be troubled to have a pirate as king. You just need to hand over the power to me and be a mascot at ease." "I see." Cobra lowered his head and sighed. "However, in order to legitimately take over your power, there is one more thing you need to cooperate with." Crocodile lit a cigar and took a deep puff. "Go ahead." "Later you must take the initiative to stand up and take all the blame for the dancing powder incident on yourself. Then tell the people that you will hand over the governance of the country to me." What? Cobra glared at Crocodile with bloodshot eyes. "Crocodile, this is obviously planned by you. This is even more cruel than dismembering me. What, can't you let go of your image of loving the people like your own children now that it has come to this? Do you still have any choice?" Crocodile said indifferently. "I agree." "Is it not enough that I agree?" Cobra, an elderly man, burst into tears. "MRO, you seem to have forgotten the most important thing, the historical text." And Pluto. Nico Robin, who had been watching the show, suddenly spoke up and reminded, "Once the historical text is over, let King Cobra take you there." Crocodile replied after a moment hesitation, "As for Pluto, I have received reliable information that such a thing does not exist in Alabasta. Now, you may notify all combat personnel that the operation is over." "Is that so?" "I understand," Nico Robin said calmly, but her heart was filled with turmoil. It seems that Crocodile has another mysterious force working for him besides the Baroque works, otherwise he would not have known such secret information. "Come on, King Cobra, it's time to stop this unrest if you don't want more people to die." Crocodile words seemed to have touched Cobra mute spot, and the man crying stopped immediately. Crocodile took the lead and walked towards the palace gate, and Cobra followed behind like a lost dog. After Vivi handed Luffy over to the care of the palace guards, she followed them. Crocodile pushed the door open with all his might. At this time, the square inches front of the palace was still filled with yellow sand, and the king army and the rebels were roaring and fighting each other. Crocodile waved his hand and the yellow sand quickly dispersed. "I am Crocodile. Everyone stop immediately. The war should end." Crocodile took the megaphone handed to him by Nico Robin and shouted with all his might. Everyone who heard it looked towards where the sound came from. "It Crocodile. Crocodile is here to save us. Crocodile, the hero of this country. Crocodile has done justice for us." When the rebels confirmed that the person who spoke was Crocodile, they immediately became excited. These people are ordinary citizens who are forced to survive due to pirates, famine, and drought. In order to establish his character, Crocodile frequently appeared to save people from danger and had already become a hero in the eyes of these people. Crocodile couldn't help but sigh when he saw this. The common people are really the easiest to fool. Be quiet and listen to me. Crocodile kept pressing down with his left hand with a golden hook, signaling everyone to stop. Fellow citizens of Alabasta, over the past few years, this country has been experiencing the worst drought in history, and everyone has had a hard time. In addition to natural causes, there are also human factors behind all this. I think someone is responsible for the misfortunes that have befallen the people, don't you? Crocodile shouted in his deep voice. You are right. My parents starved to death. My wife and daughter died from severe dehydration. My family land has not yielded any harvest for 2 years. All those who have suffered misfortune loudly expressed their pain. Cobra, who had been standing behind Crocodile, burst into tears again after hearing these words. Not only did he feel sorry for his people, but he also felt the humiliation of being forced by Crocodile. Before Crocodile could continue speaking, he walked forward and knelt down facing everyone. I am sorry, citizens of Alabasta, Cobra cried out in grief and knocked his noble head heavily. It all my fault. I was so obsessed that I used the dancing powder, which led to such serious consequences. I beg you all to sentence me to death. This old guy actually dares to act on his own. Crocodile narrowed his eyes and looked at Cobra with a terrifying look. What a shocking scene it is that the king of a country kneels down and begs for death in front of the common people. Crocodile had clearly underestimated the reaction of the citizens of Alabasta to this incident. King Cobra, you are of such a noble status. How can you kneel down to us? An old man said in a trembling voice. King Cobra, please get up quickly. We all know that you have already used all your money to help the victims. We know you have your own difficulties. You don't have to kneel down and apologize to us. You are a good king, and we believe you were just confused for a moment. Rise up, King Cobra, and lead us to prosperity again. Seeing that Crocodile had won the coup, everyone was out of danger. Cobra originally wanted to die, thinking that it would be better to die at the hands of his own people than to die at the hands of pirates. He really couldn't stand the humiliation of being a puppet, but he didn't expect that the people didn't blame him at all. King Cobra, if you continue to commit suicide, I guarantee that your beautiful daughter will meet a miserable end. Crocodile also saw through Cobra thoughts at this time and couldn't help but threaten him. He needs Cobra to continue to stay in the position of king and withstand the pressure from the world government for him. His current strength is still too weak. He is not Doflamingo, and he does not have celestial dragon blood. A pirate with no background becomes a king himself, which is a slap in the face to the 5 elders. I am afraid he will die unclearly in a few days. Father, you can't die. As long as you are alive, there is hope. One day we will get back what belongs to us. Vivi, who was standing behind him, also didn't want her father to die like this, so she spoke to comfort him. I never expected that my people would be so tolerant of me. Cobra burst into tears. Get up, King Cobra, and tell the people your true decision. Crocodile couldn't help but speak, unwilling to delay any longer. Cobra then stood up, wiped his snot and tears, and said loudly in a low voice, given the serious harm my foolish actions over the years have caused to the country and my people, I have decided to entrust the administrative, judicial and military power of Alabasta to Mr. Crocodile from now on, and hire him as the Grand Archon to manage the country on my behalf. After Cobra finished saying this, he breathed a sigh of relief, but his face looked several years older. What, Crocodile is in charge of the country? Although he has helped us a lot, does he really understand how to govern a country? Yeah, after all, he is still a pirate. Crocodile is a national hero. I believe in him anyway. Can this country get any worse? Let him try. This sudden change caught everyone off guard and everyone started talking about it. Crocodile had anticipated their reaction and didn't take it seriously. Citizens of Alabasta, be quiet and listen to me. The first thing I will do after becoming the Grand Archon is to solve the country water problem. As long as I exist, no one in this country will lack drinking water again. Is this true? Mr. Crocodile did not disappoint me. That great. I don't have to worry about water anymore. Long live Crocodile, long live Crocodile. After everyone cheered for a while, Crocodile spoke again. The next thing is the second thing. Baroque Company will invest in building a large oasis city based on the new water source. Citizens who are willing to join the construction of this city will receive generous remuneration and priority to obtain the right to live in the new city. In addition, they will also receive a free house that is large enough for a family to live in. Finally, from now on, Alabasta will completely abolish agricultural taxes. Long live Crocodile, long live Crocodile. The people cheered again, and many of them cried for joy. Next, all the royal troops will gather together. Some will work with the doctors to treat the wounded, and some will be responsible for collecting the weapons of everyone present. Other residents can temporarily camp outside the city and wait for food and drinking water to be distributed. They will return to their original places early tomorrow morning. I will be touring the country in the near future to determine the location of the new city and develop water sources. Residents from all regions can stay at home and wait for notification. Those who are willing to participate in the construction of the oasis can go there after receiving the notification. The King Army had strong execution capabilities. After receiving the order, they began to assemble their troops and act separately. The people also cooperated surprisingly well, and consciously threw the weapons in their hands together, and soon they formed several small hills. Everyone happily left the city in a group, and no one caused trouble again. Crocodile then breathed a sigh of relief, took out a cigar, lit it, and took a deep puff. He had finally succeeded in taking control of the country, and Crocodile's was almost wiped. What exactly does he want to do? Vivi felt that Crocodile was wrapped in a fog and she couldn't see through him at all. Crocodile, I will keep an eye on you. If you do anything to harm the people, I will go to Marajoa to seek justice for them, Vivi said, looking up at Crocodile. Oh, Crocodile looked at Vivi, and stroked Vivi's head with his big palm. Then you better open your eyes and look carefully. Vivi didn't expect this vicious pirate to suddenly do such a thing. She forgot to dodge for a moment and stared with her eyes wide open, a little at a loss. Asshole Crocodile, take your dirty hands off Vivi's head. Several people turned their heads and saw Sanji roaring and rushing towards the palace, followed by the wounded Nami and others. Wait a minute, Sanji. Before Crocodile could say anything, Vivi had already opened her arms and stood in front of him. Her action stunned not only Sanji and the others, but even Crocodile. What do you mean, Vivi? Crocodile is not your enemy, Sanji asked in surprise. Vivi, don't be afraid. No matter what Crocodile uses to threaten you, there will be no problem as long as we defeat him, Nami said anxiously. Crocodile. At this moment, Luffy, who was rescued by the Kingdom Guards and revived with full blood, also roared and ran towards this side. Seeing that Vivi was standing in front of Crocodile, he stopped in disbelief. Vivi, I am sorry, my friends. It's time to end the war. Stop it. Vivi lowered her head in shame, feeling ashamed to face these friends who had fought for her through thick and thin. But that bastard Crocodile hasn't been beaten away yet, Luffy said unwillingly. I am sure you all heard what Crocodile said to the people just now. This country and its people can no longer afford to be tormented. This man did something unforgivable before, but his plan for the future of this country has indeed given everyone hope for revival. So I beg everyone to give him a chance to atone for his sins and let him go this time. As she said this, Vivi bowed deeply to the Straw Hat Pirates. As Vivi bowed, the whole audience fell silent, and no one spoke for a long time. If this is what you really think, I respect your choice. Luffy's face was grim, holding his straw hat with one hand, his tone more serious than ever before. Thank you, Luffy, and everyone. While Vivi was touched, she also knew it clearly. From the moment Luffy said this, a rift inevitably arose between her and these lovely and passionate friends. Hey, Vivi, Shouldn't you be the one begging me to let them go? Did you do something wrong? Crocodile couldn't stand this tear-jerking scene and couldn't help but interrupt. What, I was careless and let your sneak attack succeed just now. I will definitely not lose if you do it again. Luffy was immediately furious when he heard that. He rolled up his sleeveless arms and was about to rush forward to fight Crocodile again, but was hugged tightly by Usopp and Nami, who looked terrified. Stop it, Luffy. There's no need to fight anymore. Just stop it. Haha, is that so? It seems you have no chance. It seems that the Navy is coming to catch you. Crocodile chuckled and pointed his hand into the distance. The Straw Hat Pirates turned around and saw Smoker and a large number of Navy officers rushing towards them. Crocodile, however, stood there nonchalantly, not taking a small naval branch captain seriously at all. He was one of the 7 warlords of the sea appointed by the world government. But the Straw Hat Pirates are different. Smoker chased them all the way from the East Blue Sea to here. Last time, because they saved Smoker, they were not captured any further, but this time they will definitely not be let go. The Straw Hat Pirates knew this very well, and Usopp took the lead and told everyone to run away. Luffy shouted as he ran, "Crocodile, Vivi is our partner. If you dare to hurt her and her country in the future, I will never let you go, no matter where you are." What Vivi didn't expect was that the Straw Hat Pirates collectively raised their right arms to the sky while running, revealing the mark they had made on their arms. "Vivi, see you later," several people shouted in unison. In this situation, Vivi finally couldn't control her tears again and said, "Everyone, see you later." "What an enviable friendship," Nico Robin said, with a strange light in her eyes. "If you chase after him now, you should be able to catch up," Crocodile said expressionlessly. "No, I was just saying it casually." Nico Robin was shocked, not knowing what Crocodile meant by that, and quickly denied it, fearing that this moody man would get angry. The Straw Hat Pirates had just run a short distance when they saw Smoker leaving the large group chasing them and running towards Crocodile alone. Why is he coming this way? It is still not appropriate for Robin to meet Smoker in public now, as it would be very troublesome to be entangled. "Go arrange for someone to treat MR1 and the others first. They are probably seriously injured," Crocodile said to Nico Robin without commenting. Learn it wasn't long before Smoker ran up to Crocodile. "Sassy, Colonel Smoker," Crocodile greeted with a chuckle. "Crocodile, if I were you, I would definitely not be able to laugh right now," Smoker said coldly, holding a cigar in his mouth. "Oh, what do you mean?" Crocodile asked, tilting his head. "Creating drought and inciting civil war, the crimes you have committed in this country, I have reported to Marshal Sengoku. Impel Down will be your best destination." Smoker stared at Crocodile, his eyes full of disgust. "Is there some misunderstanding here?" Crocodile spread his hands and asked knowingly, "I am called a hero in this country. How could I commit a crime?" "Stop pretending, Crocodile. I know all the evil things you have done to this country." Crocodile's shameless look made Smoker a little furious. "Where the evidence? It not a wise choice to slander a Shichibukai without evidence, Colonel Smoker." Crocodile knew that Smoker couldn't do anything to him, so he was particularly fearless. "HMPH, you won't be so arrogant for long. Soon, some big shot will come to arrest you," Smoker sneered. "Big shot? Akainu Kizaru or Aokiji? They sound scary." Crocodile pupils shrank when he heard that. He looked relaxed on the surface, but he was a little panicked in his heart. With his current strength, it would be difficult for him to escape if he encounters these 3. "You will know when the time comes. You'd better not try to slip away. I will keep a close eye on you." After Smoker said this harsh word, he turned and left, presumably to continue chasing Luffy and his crew. "It seems that we need to improve our strength as soon as possible." Crocodile paused for a moment, then turned and said to Cobra, "Come on, King Cobra. Gather the ministers and we will have a small meeting." After several hours of waiting, most of Alabasta officials in the royal capital had finally arrived. Inside the palace hall, Cobra was still sitting on the throne, and Crocodile was sitting on a plain wooden stool to Cobra left. Princess Vivi stood on Cobra right. "If you have any questions, Please feel free to ask. Don't feel pressured. You could hear a pin drop in the hall. No one dared to speak. Crocodile couldn't help but speak first. Crocodile had a bad reputation, and the officials were unsure of the temper of the new ruler, so no one spoke up. Since everyone has no questions, I will propose a more detailed oasis development plan. Please disperse and leave a piece of open space. The ministers didn't understand what Crocodile wanted to do, but they still cooperated obediently and dispersed. Crocodile closed his eyes and opened his right hand in the direction of the clearing, a stream of yellow sand flying out of his hand. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, a huge sand table slowly formed on the open space of the palace. Then, small buildings sprang up one after another, and soon formed a city with a very Alabasta style. It looked several times more prosperous than the royal capital. Crocodile asked the guard to bring a long stick, and then walked slowly towards the sand table. I plan to build such a super metropolis with complete functions in the coastal area, and name this city Eden, which means the paradise of God. This is a casino, this is a large shopping mall, this is an amusement park, this is a bathing city. This is. Crocodile held up a long stick and introduced everyone present one by one. Eden will have the best accommodation, dining, entertainment, shopping and sightseeing environment. All tourists or pirates who come to Eden will not leave this place until they have spent all their baileys. The development of Eden will be undertaken by the newly established Baroque Tourism Development Company of the Baroque Group, with a total investment of 400 billion baileys. Of course, I welcome everyone to invest in this company. The Baroque Group only holds 51% of the shares, and everyone can subscribe to the remaining 49%. As soon as Crocodile finished speaking, the officials in the hall immediately started talking. These people are all very smart. How could they not see the business opportunities and wealth contained in this? You want us to pay hundreds of billions of baileys just by talking? Do you think we are fools at this moment? An official with a pointed face and monkey cheeks couldn't help but question it. Yes, this is not a small amount of money. The risk is too great. If the city is built but no one comes, all our money will be wasted. Even if someone comes, how can you guarantee that they will be willing to spend money? As soon as the official finished speaking, many people immediately agreed. Crocodile was not flustered in the face of doubts, but instead a meaningful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. I am glad that you can see these problems. It means you are not stupid. Next, I will use a small experiment to dispel your concerns. Crocodile raised his hand to call over a guard and whispered something. After receiving the order, the guard trotted out of the hall and soon brought back a cute little girl wearing a straw hat. Golden Week, show everyone what you can do. Golden Week didn't say anything more, just nodded obediently and took out a pen and a palette. Mix the color to make a hilarious yellow. In the blink of an eye, a strange yellow pattern appeared on the ground. Stand on this yellow pattern and you will understand. The officials looked at each other, confused as to what Crocodile was trying to do. Playing tricks, an impatient person couldn't help but step on the yellow pattern due to his curiosity. Ha 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 ha, what going on? Why can't I stop laughing seeing this? The officials gathered around curiously. Is this magic? It amazing. I understand. I will laugh uncontrollably as long as I stand in this pattern. What the principle behind this? Is it a devil fruit? People with quick minds have already seen some clues. This girl has the ability to influence people's emotions and desires through the colors she mixes. Imagine for a moment if we paint casinos with the color of greed, amusement parks with the color of joy, and shopping malls with the color of desire. What a genius idea! Before Crocodile could finish his words, he was interrupted by an excited voice. Those present were the smartest people in the country. Some things did not even need to be pointed out. Everyone could see that once the city was painted with colors representing various desires, it would immediately become a gold mine. I represent the Quinta family and contribute 15 billion baileys. I represent the Alpha family and contribute 28 billion baileys. I am representing the Max family and contributing 6 billion baileys. These people were from noble families that had stood in Alabasta for 100 years. Each of them was extremely wealthy, and at this moment, None of them could help but ask for the subscription. Dad, we need to buy some. It sounds very good. Vivi couldn't help but lean over to Cobra and ask. Cobra mouth twitched, and he said awkwardly, the inner treasury has been completely used up in the relief of disaster victims over the years. Quiet, don't worry. Crocodile showed a satisfied smile on his face. These cunning old men finally took the bait. In view of the contributions King Cobra has made to the country over the years, I propose to give 4% of the shares to the Nefertari family. Do you have any objections? It's just 4%, so no one would have any objection. After all, Cobra is still the nominal king of this country. If Crocodile fails one day, everyone will still have to act according to the king mood. King Cobra has worked hard and made great contributions. Naturally, we have no objection, a respected official said. As a matter of course, everyone chimed in, praising him one after another. As for the remaining shares, once I have drawn up the articles of association, I will have someone hold a separate meeting and you can subscribe for them. Only when it written down in black and white will everyone feel at ease. Crocodile was very satisfied with the reactions of the crowd. That great as expected of Lord Crocodile. You are very thoughtful. I can't wait to see the new city built. Alabasta will surely become the richest and most prosperous country in the world under the leadership of Crocodile Sama. These cunning old people, after flattering Cobra, come to flatter Crocodile. Okay, let's end the meeting here today. I need a few days to prepare. Crocodile waved his hand to stop them. Before leaving, Crocodile approached Cobra and said, what do you think of my proposal? King Cobra lowered his head and sighed. That thoughtful. HMPH, don't think you can buy us off easily by giving us a little sweet treat. Vivi didn't seem to appreciate it and said with her hands on her hips. Crocodile was not angry. He chuckled, shook his head and left with Golden Week. After walking out of the hall, Crocodile saw MR3, MR5, Miss Valentine, and Nico Robin waiting outside the hall. MR5 and Valentine were also meeting this boss with a terrifying reputation for the first time and seemed very nervous. Golden Week didn't react to this at all, he just followed Crocodile obediently. Crocodile didn't say much about the people who failed the mission, but just said lightly, go back first and talk later. As he spoke, he rolled up the yellow sand all over the sky and flew away with a few people. Soon, everyone arrived at a mansion on the outskirts of the city. This was a property that Crocodile had secretly purchased a few years ago, and Nico Robin was the only one who knew about it. Boss, you are back. Are you ready for dinner now? As soon as Crocodile walked to the door, a middle-aged man in a black tuxedo who looked like a butler came up quickly and said respectfully, it should be a banquet, sumptuous and quick. And plenty of drinks. Crocodile said lightly. Good boss. Entering the house, the furnishings inside are very luxurious. Crocodile led everyone to the living room, where MR1 and others who had failed in their mission were waiting there wrapped in bandages. Seeing Crocodile coming in, several people hurriedly stood up with difficulty, looking dejected and in a very low mood. Sit down. Why are you all so sad? Crocodile asked knowingly. Sorry, boss, we lost to the Straw Hat Pirates because of our carelessness. MR1, as the strongest among them, spoke first. That guy with curly eyebrows is very powerful. I am no match for him. MR2 said nervously. Sorry, boss. If I hadn't let my guard down with that woman named Nami, I wouldn't have been successfully ambushed by her. The two fingers looked ashamed and angry. Well, someone has reported the details of your operation to me. Crocodile lit a cigar, took a puff and said calmly, do you know where you lost? Your biggest problem is underestimating the enemy. There is an old saying that a lion will use all its strength to hunt a hare. Each of you is obviously stronger than them, but you didn't fight with all your strength. It's not unfair that you lost to them. This time you are only facing the gentle Straw Hat Pirates. If you encounter a more brutal opponent next time, I am afraid you will end up with your head and body separated. After hearing what Crocodile said, everyone except Nico Robin lowered their heads in shame. After criticizing you, let me talk about the good things. Although you were defeated, The Utopia operation plan was successful. It can be said that Alabasta is now under the control of the Baroque Company. I see the efforts of each of you. Thank you for your hard work. I have prepared some small rewards for everyone, which will be distributed to everyone later. After hearing what Crocodile said, everyone's mood immediately changed from heavy to joyful. Really, the boss is so nice. Valentine jumped up with joy and almost hit the roof. Is this still the Crocodile I know? He seems to have changed a lot. Nico Robin thought silently on her face. Mr. Zero-chan, not only did you not punish us, you also prepared rewards. I am really touched, MR2 said with tears in his eyes. I want to buy a lot of Senbei. Golden Week was so happy that his little face turned red and he looked very cute. MR1 poker face remained unchanged for thousands of years, and his expression became much softer. However, there is another important task that I would like to entrust to MR3. Crocodile flicked the ash off his cigarette and said, there is no danger at all, and the rewards are extremely generous, but it is a bit hard. Really, boss, I will definitely complete the task this time. This person was originally timid and afraid of death, but when he heard Crocodile say that there was no danger and there would be a generous reward, he immediately made the promise with shining eyes. I plan to build a new city in Alabasta. It will cost a lot of money, and your ability can help the company save a lot of money. Save money? What do you need me to do? MR3 asked puzzledly. MR3, the candles you make are as hard as iron. As long as they are not exposed to fire, they are difficult to damage. I hope to use the candles you make as the frames of the new city buildings, instead of wood and steel, Crocodile explained patiently. What, that a city, not a house? Boss, are you serious with my ability? I can't do it even if I work myself to death. MR3 eyes almost popped out of his head at Crocodile bold idea. You don't need to worry about this. I have my own way to improve your abilities. Making more candles is actually a good practice for you. MR3, I am very optimistic about you. I am sure you won't let me down, right? Crocodile face darkened, and he displayed Crocodile intimidating aura again. No, I won't do that, MR3 said with a sad face and reluctantly said so. Even if MR3 can help us save a lot of expenses, I am afraid it will be difficult for the boss to come up with the remaining investment of hundreds of billions of Baileys, right? Nico Robin asked puzzledly. Who says you have to spend your own money to invest? Crocodile said with a meaningful smile. What do you mean? Nico Robin seemed to have thought of something, but was still not sure. I just exaggerated the investment amount. In fact, not only do we not need that much, we even have more than enough. These nobles have sucked the blood and sweat of the people for so many years. It's time for them to give money back to the country, Crocodile said as a matter of course. However, these nobles have purchased so many shares. When the company makes a profit in the future, it is only a matter of time for them to make the money back. Right? Nico Robin asked again. Of course we will make a profit, but how much profit we can make is up to me, right? As for payback, 100 years, 200 years, or 500 years should be possible, Crocodile said mockingly. Isn't this just getting something for nothing? MR3 complained with his eyes wide open and a look of shock. The boss is such a genius. Those nobles will probably lose everything they have. Ha ha ha! Merry Christmas! Shouted excitedly. After 100 years, everyone will be dead, right? Huang Jinzu said thoughtfully, supporting his chin. Crocodile had long known through crocodile memory that the business model of this world was very backward, and even the richest people only did small businesses. In the development and construction of large projects like this, countless people have been cheated and lost their fortunes even in previous lives. Crocodile just slightly utilized the concept from the previous life and painted a big pie. There was no reason for these local tycoons who only cared about money not to take the bait. After hearing Crocodile's explanation, Nico Robin felt a chill running from the soles of her feet to the top of her head. This man is simply terrible. He first controlled a country at a small cost. Then he took hundreds of billions of Baileys for himself with just his two mouths without any soldiers. With so much money, the celestial dragons would be jealous, and the four emperors would rush over to snatch it immediately after hearing about it. At this moment, the butler Bailey walked into the reception room. Boss, the dinner is ready. Crocodile was also a little hungry, so he casually said, "Let go and eat first," and led the way into the restaurant. Sitting at the head of the table, Crocodile was in a good mood. He raised his glass and said, "This should be the first banquet since the establishment of Baroque Company. Everyone, please don't be restrained and enjoy the food and wine." The group had been sleeping in the open air, running around, and fighting these past few days, and had hardly had a proper meal. They were now starving. They shouted "Thank you, boss" in unison and then started to wolf down the food without even raising their heads. After a few drinks, the atmosphere gradually became heated. MR3 and MR5 put their arms around each other and started singing. MR2 danced the transvestite ballet to suit the occasion. Except for Crocodile, Nico Robin and MR1, everyone else was singing and dancing, having great fun. MR1 drank glass after glass of wine in silence. He was not a very sociable person, but his head swayed slightly to the rhythm of the song. Nico Robin just watched everyone laughing and joking on her face, occasionally taking a sip of the red wine in her glass. After the banquet had been going on for a while, Crocodile called the butler over and whispered a few words to him. The butler then left. Soon, a huge white cloth with paintings of houses of various styles was taken out and hung on the wall. "I have prepared a villa for everyone in the new city as your new home. Each villa has a different appearance, and you can choose according to your personal preferences." Where in this world can there be such a generous boss? I have never heard of it. They originally thought that the reward Crocodile mentioned was just a bonus of several 100,000 baileys to each person. After all, everyone failed to complete the task, and according to the previous rules, they would be executed. Everyone was surprised to find that the small reward Crocodile mentioned was actually a villa for each person. "Long live the boss!" everyone cheered in unison. Also, I was too harsh on everyone before, and I have reflected on this recently. There will be no more punishment for failing to complete the task in the future. The company is your home. You are not only colleagues and partners, but also comrades in arms and partners. The world is so big, it's fate that we can get together. I hope everyone can look out for each other and keep each other warm in the future. For these senior agents of Baroque Works, I originally wanted to continue Crocodile way of getting along with them. But when Crocodile felt the joy they had while singing and dancing at the banquet, he decided to make a change. To be honest, these people fruit abilities are actually not bad, and most of them even have superhuman fruits, which have great potential if developed well. But in the plot, they share the same fate as Crocodile, which is that they appear too early. But now, Crocodile has the golden finger of the strongest training camp. As long as there is enough ballet, these people can continue to strengthen. In addition, Crocodile has read the cover story of Baroque Works. These people seem to be useless villains, but they are actually loyal and lovable. Even during the Golden Week when I have no fighting power at all, I will try my best to rescue those colleagues and bosses I have never met. In this chaotic world, it is easy to find strong people with strength, but there are very few partners who are trustworthy and whom you can trust with your back. So, Crocodile decided to make some changes. "Mr. Zero-chan, you can say that." I am so touched. Before Crocodile could react, MR2, with snot and tears all over his face, had already hugged him and buried his face in his arms. The whole place fell into an eerie silence. Is this guy an idiot? He took the boss words seriously. MR3 face was covered in cold sweat. "Asshole, how dare you be so rude to the boss?" MR1 face darkened. "It over now, MR2 is dead." Valentine covered her mouth in surprise. Nico Robin looked at Crocodile with some amusement, curious about how he would deal with MR2. Crocodile himself felt his scalp tingling and he felt extremely uncomfortable all over. "As a real man, it is difficult for me to accept being hugged by a Shimal." What was even more unacceptable was that this guy was rubbing his snot and tears on him. "Damn it, Bentham, do you want to die?" Crocodile cursed angrily. A large hand grabbed his head and pulled him off of him. "Your snot is all over me." "It disgusting." You know, he swung his arm and threw Bentham out. This action seemed to require a lot of effort, but Bentham just did a casual somersault and stood firmly on the ground. "Bailey, prepare new clothes quickly. I am feeling sick. Crocodile left the restaurant yelling with disgust on his face. Mr. Zero-chan, did you just call my name? Bentham turned around with his face in his hands, looking infatuated. Hey, MR2, how dare you be so rude to the boss? You must drink a glass of wine as a punishment. MR3 pointed at Bentham with pretended dissatisfaction. 1 cup is not enough. At least 3 cups. MR5 added fuel to the fire while picking his nose. Ha ha ha, I am in a good mood today. I can drink until dawn. Do you dare to join me? Bentham laughed with his hands on his hips. Come on, who afraid of who? MR1 silently moved a large barrel of wine to the table in front of him. It seems like there really no intention to punish MR2, Valentine said in amazement. Is the boss angry or not? He asked, supporting his chin with his fingers. He, probably not. Nico Robin covered her mouth and chuckled. It was the first time she saw Crocodile react like this, and he seemed to be becoming more humane. It feels good to work with such a group of people. Drink, drink, drink. The impatient Merry Christmas clapped the table excitedly. The scene suddenly became lively again. Nico Robin watched quietly for a while, then got up and left. After asking the servant about the location of the guest room, she prepared to rest early. When she passed the second-floor balcony, she saw Crocodile holding the railing, looking silently into the distance, his back looking a little desolate. After hesitating for just a moment, she walked towards the balcony and stood beside the man. Everyone is very happy today, Nico Robin said. If the bowstring is kept too tight, it will break easily. Crocodile answered irrelevantly. So that it. The smart woman understood it immediately. Do you want to leave here? Crocodile suddenly turned around and looked at Nico Robin's beautiful profile and asked, What do you mean? This was the second time Nico Robin was asked a similar question today, and she felt a little flustered. I know your goal has always been to find the original text of history, which cannot be retained. What the condition? When Nico Robin said these words, all the muscles in her body tensed up. She was not sure whether the other party would kill him. For those who are of no use to Crocodile, there is usually no good ending. It's simple. Join the Straw Hat Pirates and provide me with some information about them. What? Nico Robin looked confused, staring at Crocodile with wide eyes. Why the Straw Hat Pirates? They are so weak. What important things do you have that are worth sending me over? The D family, Roger, Garp, and Dragon, are all powerful people who stir up the world. The Straw Hat Boy is a newcomer to this clan, and I just happened to meet him. Paying attention to him in advance can be considered an investment. Crocodile said this, but what he actually wanted was to let Robin, who was supposed to join the Straw Hat Pirates, go back there. He hasn't fallen out with Robin yet, so he uses this to get Robin to provide information about the Straw Hat Pirates. This will also make it easier for him to arrive in time in the future and recruit those who were defeated by the Straw Hat Pirates as his subordinates. After all, he was only familiar with the direction of the plot. As for when and where the Straw Hat Pirates fought and with whom, he had no way of knowing such things. More importantly, by following them you can find the historical texts you want most. But I am afraid it will be difficult for them to accept me. Nico Robin was somewhat tempted, but only a little. Don't worry, they are a bunch of hot-blooded and stupid guys with no IQ. You can impress them as long as you treat them sincerely. Crocodile big hand pressed on Nico Robin's shoulder and patted her. Nico Robin heart skipped a beat. To be honest, she had been hunted by the world government and the Navy since she was a child. It was not until she met Crocodile in the past few years that her heart gradually settled down. Even though she knew they were using each other, Crocodile gave her an unprecedented sense of security. After all, there were not many people in this world who had the courage to shelter the son of the devil. Originally, she was somewhat wary of Crocodile, but this man's words and actions had changed a lot in recent days. The original violent feeling disappeared, replaced by a sense of unfathomable depth and confidence that everything was under control. Others might not have noticed it, but her keen intuition could not help but notice it. Even after tonight's banquet, the secret organization of Baroque Orcs actually gave her a sense of belonging, especially the villa that Crocodile gave to everyone. Although they say that they are selected based on personal preference, They are actually designed according to each person different preferences. The set left for her looked like it was made entirely of pink petals, which was exactly what she liked. "Can I come back?" Nico Robin said with her head down, sounding a little depressed. "Of course. The company will always be your home." Crocodile raised his hand from Robin's shoulder and rubbed her soft black hair. Nico Robin raised her head with the corners of her mouth slightly raised, but did not resist. "It a gift from my boss. I like it very much." "Then I will see you later." "See you later." Nico Robin is gone, and Crocodile, to be honest, is a little reluctant to let her go. Putting aside her intelligence and ability, it is indeed a pleasure to have such a beautiful woman around. But you can't catch the wolf without sacrificing the lamb. For Enel, CP9, and Mingo, he can only resort to this last resort. Dressrosa, da Flamingo was lying leisurely in a rocking chair basking in the sun when a newsboy flew towards him. Ming waved his hand and threw a 100 Bailey coin over, and the newspaper gull obediently brought him the latest newspaper of the day. He opened the newspaper and saw the headline on the front page was about a person Ming was familiar with. "Crocodile has been hired as Archon of the Kingdom of Alabasta." Ming frowned and read the contents carefully. Baboon. Crocodile is really good at scheming." After a while, Ming suddenly smiled ferociously. He turned the king into a puppet in his hands, thus controlling the largest country in the world in terms of population and land area. In this way, as long as he lets this country continue to pay the heavenly gold, the world government will not be able to interfere with his behavior. Toribal, who had 2 strings of disgusting snot hanging from his nose, leaned over to read the newspaper and said, "His way of doing things is very similar to yours, Dover." Baboon, you are right. "Since we are in the same boat, we might as well communicate and cooperate more in the future." Marine Headquarters, Manaford. The right hand of Sengoku holding the Den Mushi trembled slightly. An old and majestic voice came from the other end of the line. "Sengoku, let Garp, who went to capture Crocodile, come back." He was only hired as the governor of Alabasta and didn't cause too bad an impact. "We should be more tolerant of the 7 warlords of the sea." Sengoku's face immediately turned ugly, but the world government has banned the use of dancing powder. He has already touched the bottom line. As long as he can pay the heavenly gold on time, these are not a problem. The new world has become a mess. The first half of the Grand Line must maintain stability. The 7 warlords of the sea should not move for now. The voice on the other end of the phone seemed unquestionable, but Sengoku was still preparing to argue, but the person on the other end of the phone had already hung up. General Sengoku slammed his fist on the desk. Crocodile is so careful in his work. He must have thought that as long as he doesn't become the king, the 5 elders will not make things difficult for him. "Humphrey, I have said it before, these pirates are not trustworthy at all. The world will be peaceful only when they are all eliminated." Akainu snorted coldly, hugging his arms tightly. Picking up the Den Mushi again, Sengoku called Garp Den Mushi, trying to recall him, but no one answered after he dialed several times. Garp call can't be reached. "This is just bad luck for you, Crocodile." Alabasta, Albana. Early in the morning, Crocodile asked MR1 to find a few smart and business-savvy employees from the company, instruct these people to register a new company as soon as possible and draft a share distribution contract. Those nobles are all shrewd people. The sooner you put their money into your pockets, the fewer variables there will be. With the title of Grand Consul, the procedures were handled quickly, and everything was ready by the afternoon. Crocodile hurried to the palace and reconvened the nobles who were willing to invest. The noble lords were also impatient. Before the contract was even signed, they ordered their servants to fill the carriages with Bailey and transport them to the palace, for fear that all the shares of the new company would be snatched away by others. The palace was crowded with people. All the powerful people in Alabasta gathered here and frantically bought shares of Baroque Tourism Development Company. The struggle continued until the evening, when all the shares were finally divided up. The Baroque Company member who was sent to collect the money had counted the money until he was exhausted. 200 billion in cash. Most people have never even heard of it, let alone seen it. However, Bailey actual purchasing power is not strong. It costs 100 yuan to buy a newspaper. It takes 200 billion Baileys to build a city, so the funds are still quite tight. Instructing MR3 to use his ability to make an oversized candle carriage, Crocodile personally led several senior agents to escort the huge sum of money back to his mansion. After all, this is a world of pirates, and there are many desperate criminals who are willing to take risks for money. If Crocodile happens to meet someone who has eaten a strange devil fruit and steals all his money without anyone noticing, he won't even be able to cry. After hiding all the money in a secret room, Crocodile asked MR3 to reinforce it repeatedly to ensure that it was safe. I really miss online banking. Crocodile couldn't help but sigh. It does look great to have so much money, but the security issue is really a headache. However, when he thought about the skills he would be able to learn next, Crocodile couldn't help but feel excited. With so much money, it's not too much for me to spend 5 billion, right? Considering that the money is used to build the new city of Eden, Crocodile still doesn't want to go too far. If Eden is built, the profits will definitely be much more than the current money, and it will be endless. He doesn't want to exhaust the resources. After repeated calculations by Crocodile, he concluded that 5 billion Baileys was a reasonable amount that would not affect the progress of the new city construction. A portion of it must also be reserved for strengthening MR3. After all, this guy ability is currently worth billions of gold to Crocodile. Should we awaken MR3 fruit ability? Crocodile hesitated. It costs 1 billion belly to awaken the fruit once. However, compared with the future profits, it is still a drop in the bucket. I will spend the money this time to strengthen MR3. Now that Nico Robin is gone, I can also get some additional high-end combat power. Alas, the money is still too little. We have to find new sources of revenue. After kicking everyone else out of the secret room where the money was kept, Crocodile re-entered the Xi'an training camp. Retrieve hockey. Crocodile whispered in the empty training camp. Armament hockey, primary, 50 million berries. Armament hockey, intermediate, 200 million berries. Armament hockey, advanced, 400 million berries. Armament hockey, Rusakura, 1 billion berries. Observation hockey, basic, 50 million Baileys. Observation hockey, intermediate, 200 million berries. Observation hockey, advanced, 400 million berries. Observation hockey, foreseeing the future, 1 billion berries. Conqueror hockey, basic, 1 billion berries. Conqueror hockey, intermediate, 2 billion berries. Overlord hockey, advanced, 3 billion berries. Conqueror hockey, Kenwensha, 5 billion berries. Overlord color entanglement, 2 billion berries. Looking at these exaggerated amounts, Crocodile felt his heart bleeding. But there is no way. If you want to get it, you have to pay for it. Learn Ryo, Crocodile said through gritted teeth. Please learn armament hockey, advanced. First, a cold and ruthless electronic voice suddenly sounded. Fuck, this training camp is so shitty. Crocodile was shaking with anger. Learn armament hockey, advanced, Crocodile shouted again unwillingly. Please learn armament hockey, intermediate. First, the cold electronic voice sounded again, shattering all of Crocodile fantasies. If you calculate it this way, it would cost 1.65 billion berries just to learn the highest level of armament hockey. It's simply a scam, and I can't just learn this one. The strength, stamina, agility, and physical skills to match it must all reach the same level. Otherwise, in front of a truly powerful person, you are just a 3-year-old kid holding a toy gun, and you can only bluff people. Take Luffy fight with Kaido as an example. I can kill other people in one move. I can't hit them. Even if I hit them, at most I can only lose some hair. Oh, forget it. Let first learn the armament hockey, observation hockey, and taijutsu to a higher level. Use the remaining money to upgrade MR3. We can continue to improve it when we have money later. Crocodile raised his armament hockey, observation hockey, and taijutsu to high levels, spending a total of 1.95 billion Baileys. Every time he learned a skill, a golden light enveloped him and a warm current flowed through his body. Crocodile felt his body gradually becoming lighter and lighter, and he felt full of strength. The improvement of his physical skills and domineering aura has greatly changed his physique. With a thought, his right fist was quickly wrapped in a layer of arm-color domineering aura, emitting a faint purple light. He moved around freely in the open space, punching and kicking. The powerful strength made every movement he made sound like a humming sound, as if there was a ferocious beast hidden in his body. Any enemy would be utterly destroyed under the attack of this ferocious beast. However, Crocodile knew that at his current level, he was probably no match for a vice-captain like Kitakuri, and was even inferior to Doflamingo. Fortunately, he has plenty of time, and as long as he has money he can advance quickly, which is something no one can compare to. With 3.05 billion left, Crocodile continues to choose to upgrade his physical fitness to advanced level. Another 650 million Baileys were consumed. For the final 2.4 billion, Crocodile plans to awaken his own fruit first. In this way, giving MR3 the awakening fruit would only cost half as much. It would only cost half of that to upgrade his physical fitness to a high level, leaving less than 600 million in the end. This amount of money couldn't be used for much other purposes, so Crocodile decided to keep it for a rainy day. Spend 1 billion to awaken the fruit power, Crocodile shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a bang and Crocodile body suddenly exploded and turned into grains of fine sand. Then, the sand began to slowly reassemble from Crocodile feet. It was not until more than 10 minutes later that it returned to Crocodile original appearance. Crocodile frowned. Is this the fruit awakening? It seems that there hasn't been much change after the natural awakening. Closing his eyes, Crocodile began to carefully experience every part of his body. At this moment he had a unique feeling. He was the sand and the sand was him. It seems that every grain of sand is himself. This was the biggest change he felt. Before awakening, the most he could do was control the sand, and the ability of the fruit was just a tool for him. And now, he has completely turned into a sand man. He stomped his feet hard, and the ground around him immediately turned into rolling quicksand. If someone without any strength stands on it, he will be swallowed by the quicksand immediately, and every grain of sand can be his eyes and ears. After spreading the sand with the observation hockey, wherever the sand is, he will have eyes and ears. It was as if the world was filled with surveillance cameras that only he could see, and nothing could escape his gaze. This is very similar to Enel Mind Network. Perhaps this is an ability unique to nature servants. His original ability to absorb moisture was also improved. He felt that he could not only absorb moisture from other people's bodies, but even absorb their vitality. As for whether the absorbed vitality can be fed back to oneself, we will know after experimenting. Now he has completely turned into the god of death in the desert, able to take other people's lives at will. Moreover, he could feel that the sand was no longer in the loose state it was before and could turn into anything. Crocodile grabbed the golden hook on his left hand with his right hand and pulled it off with force, leaving nothing below his wrist. As for how the hand was lost, Crocodile has no idea. As far as Crocodile can remember, he has been wearing this golden hook for more than 20 years. Concentrating his mind on his left wrist, fine yellow sand began to build his left hand bit by bit. Soon, a very realistic-looking palm was formed, but it didn't look very lively. Fortunately, no matter how you use Crocodile, there is no feeling of sluggishness. It feels like a new life. With the awakening of the fruit, Crocodile felt that his life form had undergone fundamental changes. Now, unless he is killed by soaking in seawater or completely blown into pieces, there is a possibility that he can recover. This is the truly terrifying thing about the awakening of the natural fruit. With his current strength, if he meets one of the three admirals, even if he cannot defeat him, he can still maneuver around since they are both natural-type admirals, and he can still escape. After leaving the training camp with satisfaction, Crocodile ordered MR3 to be called into the basement. As soon as MR3 Gardino stepped into the basement, he saw his boss sitting calmly in a chair, smoking a cigar with his eyes closed. With his poor eyesight, he didn't think much at first and walked straight towards Crocodile. But the closer he got to Crocodile, the more he felt that the person sitting there was not his boss, but a ferocious beast lurking in the sand. ready to devour its prey. "Boss, are you looking for me?" Gardino said in a trembling voice. Crocodile had actually already noticed his arrival, but was thinking about developing his abilities after awakening, so he didn't greet him. Unexpectedly, when he opened his eyes, he found MR3 standing not far from him, with cold sweat pouring down his face and trembling all over. "Gardino, what wrong with you?" Crocodile asked in confusion. "Boss, how come you suddenly become so scary after not seeing you for a while?" Gardino said with a dry laugh. Scary Crocodile touched his face, and nothing seemed to have changed. "It's not your appearance, but you suddenly have a very scary aura, as if you are ready to kill me at any time." Crocodile thought about it and thought that maybe it was because of the sudden increase in strength that he hadn't adapted to yet and couldn't control his breath well. Seeing that the other party was so scared, Crocodile had to put away all his abilities and gave Gardino what he thought was a kind smile. "Come here, don't be afraid. Next I will use my abilities to give you some small improvements. You will become much stronger than before." Gardino was stunned. He thought his boss was joking with him last night, but he didn't expect it to be true. "What should I do, boss?" "He definitely cannot be taken into the strongest training camp. This is too shocking." In order not to cause unnecessary trouble, Crocodile decided to use his own abilities to create a scene to make everything relatively reasonable. With a casual wave of his right hand, a large amount of yellow sand flew out from Crocodile hand, and soon formed a rectangular box on the ground. "Lie down in it." Crocodile pointed to the box on the ground. "Boss, are you sure you are not putting me in the coffin to kill me?" Gardino asked with a sad face. Crocodile twitched his lips, not having considered that it did look a lot like a coffin. "Don't worry, I am not that kind of person. Just lie down and be good." Gardino became even more frightened after hearing this, but he was powerless and was afraid that if he didn't go in, he would probably be killed by the boss. He just felt that all the muscles in his body were shaking constantly and his bones were weakening. He took several steps before he was able to step in. Crocodile shook his head helplessly. "Do I really want to fight the world government with this little bastard? Why do I always feel a little unsure?" After MR3 lay down in the sandbox, Crocodile continued to cover him with a strand of sand from his left hand. While silently operating in his mind, he first raised MR3 physical strength to a high level. Since Crocodile has already strengthened this ability, the cost is only 325 million belly. "How is it, Gardino? Do you feel anything? If you feel uncomfortable, you can tell me." Crocodile asked curiously, wondering if there was any difference between himself and other people when they were strengthened. "Boss, this is amazing." Gardino sat up from the sandbox and said in amazement, "I feel more energetic than ever before, as if I could fight 10,000 enemies for 10 days and 10 nights without getting tired." "Really? Haha, there will be something even more amazing soon. Just continue to lie down," Crocodile said with a mysterious smile. There was no reason for Gardino to disobey after hearing this, so he lay down again obediently. After all, in this cruel world, the stronger you are, the greater your hope of survival. And who can refuse a boss who can make him stronger? After Crocodile chose the fruit awakening for Gardino, he quickly walked to the sandbox and observed the other party condition. But the unexpected accident still happened. "Boss, why do I feel so uncomfortable? It feels like my whole body is on fire." Gardino shouted in panic. Crocodile looked closely and saw that Gardino's entire body began to slowly melt. Streams of melted candlelight bubbled out of his body. The Gardino in the sandbox is like a pot of boiling soup, constantly emitting a pungent smell. "Don't panic. This is normal. Your fruit ability is awakening." Crocodile thought about his previous awakening and his whole body exploded into sand, so he was not worried. But what he didn't expect was that as time went on, more and more candles kept popping out of Gardino's body, and the sandbox gradually showed a trend of being assimilated. Some of the candles overflowed from the sandbox and dripped onto the ground, immediately melting a hole in the floor that continued to expand. This is clearly an effect that can only be achieved with strong corrosiveness. It seems that this is the ability that can only be possessed after the melting fruit is awakened. and it can truly achieve the effect of melting various things. The previous melting fruit could only melt the candles produced by the user himself, which was too limited. Crocodile is now even considering whether to melt Impel down and release all the prisoners after Galtino has fully mastered the power of the fruit. "Boss, help me, I can't control my abilities," Gardino screamed in horror, and now even his facial features began to disappear. "Oh no, Gardino is too weak. He is not capable of controlling his awakened abilities. We must stop him immediately, otherwise it will be dangerous." Crocodile then realized that something was wrong. He quickly used his fist covered with armament hockey to smash hard at Galtino's head, whose outline could still be vaguely seen. There was a muffled bang and Gardino suddenly became silent, apparently having fainted. The candles in the sandbox gradually recondensed into a human shape, and Gardino's ugly, bruised face also appeared. "Alas, I was still a little reckless." It seems that awakening the fruit ability requires good physical conditions and a strong will, otherwise a scene like the one just now will happen. Why in the original comics, there are so few people who can awaken the power of the fruit, and all of them are strong? This must be the reason. If someone forcibly awakens the ability of the fruit, and their strength and character are not up to the requirements, they will inevitably lose control. Although Crocodile didn't know hockey before and wasn't good at taijutsu, he was still a man who could fight against Whitebeard and Barrett. His overall strength is still very strong, which is why there were no accidents. "What should we do next to prevent Gardino from losing control after he wakes up?" Crocodile felt a headache. "Perhaps the only thing we can do is continue to strengthen him." Learning armament hockey can improve a person's overall physical fitness and raise the lower limit of a person's strength. In addition, the same is true for taijutsu and the 6 styles of the Navy. However, observation hockey can enhance a person's spiritual will, and currently we can only start from these aspects. Crocodile, with blood dripping from his heart, raised Galtino to color hockey and taijutsu to the intermediate level. A few minutes later, Gardino woke up slowly and stood up. "Boss, what happened just now?" Gardino carefully checked his body, fearing that some parts might be missing. "Nothing much. I just developed some new abilities recently and did a little experiment on you. The result of the experiment is that you are now very strong, much stronger than the supernovas in the New World, and you have great potential. You can experience it next." As soon as he finished speaking, he attacked Gardino without any warning. Relying on the observation hockey he had just learned, Gardino dodged Crocodile 2 punches and 1 kick with a few subconscious movements. Facing the third punch that he couldn't dodge, Galtino erected a candle shield in front of him in the blink of an eye and struggled to block Crocodile's attack. During this time, Crocodile did not use any abilities or hockey, but simply used taijutsu. Otherwise, Gardino would never be able to escape. "Wait, boss, stop hitting me." "I was wrong." Gardino, with a sad face, didn't understand the situation at this time and didn't know why Crocodile suddenly attacked him. "Shut up, idiot, and feel what coming out of your brain and body. I am going to get serious. It will hurt if you can't dodge." Crocodile roared with a fierce face. Gardino then realized that Crocodile was going to give him actual combat training. This guy is actually very smart. Otherwise he would not have become the vice captain of the Buggy Pirates. Although this pirate group may be a little weak, it is still much stronger than ordinary people. After Crocodile got a little more serious, Gardino was able to use his new skills skillfully. However, facing Crocodile, who possessed crocodile memories and had rich combat experience, he was at a loss for a while and was beaten so badly by Crocodile that his face soon became unrecognizable. Another powerful aspect of the Zeon training camp is that the skills learned here are naturally mastered at the full level. No matter who you are, once you learn it, it will form muscle memory and you can use it at will. The only thing he lacks is the ability to respond on the spot when fighting with others, and this can only be improved through actual combat. There is no other way. As time went by, Galtino was barely able to block Crocodile attacks, and he was beaten less and less. and he could even fight back occasionally. Crocodile also took the opportunity to instruct Gardino to hone his own fighting style. The two fought until late at night, and Crocodile finally stopped when he felt his stomach growling. "You have a great talent for fighting, Gardino, and you learn very quickly." Crocodile patted the other shoulder vigorously, obviously very satisfied with this guy understanding. "It all thanks to the boss, it all thanks to the boss." Gardino, with a bruised face, said with a flattering smile, but in fact he was full of confidence as never before. With a boss like this, the future is promising, Gardino thought happily. "Apart from the boss, I am probably the most powerful person in the company now. Starting tomorrow, follow me as we tour the country, looking for water sources and building new cities. You are already quite capable now, but you will have to bear more responsibilities." Crocodile took the lead and said in a profound tone, "Don't worry, boss, as long as you give the order, I, Galtino, will go through fire and water without hesitation." When Galtino heard that Crocodile was going to add more responsibilities to him, he felt happier than eating honey and quickly patted his chest to make the promise. After having a delicious meal with Gardino, Crocodile can finally have a long-awaited good sleep tonight. However, the ability displayed by Gardino fruit after awakening made Crocodile more excited about the development of the fruits of his other subordinates. If MR5 explosive fruit is developed to a high level, the whole person will become a human nuclear bomb, exploding wherever he goes. The Valentine Day kilogram fruit, if developed properly, will have great potential in physical skills. There is also Bentham imitation fruit, which can now only imitate the appearance of others. If the fruit power is awakened, can the opponent various abilities be used for your own benefit? As for MR1 who ate the quick/fruit, his swordsmanship can be improved to the level of a great swordsman. Combined with the fruit ability to cut very well, it's not impossible for him to compete with Hawkeye. Two Fingers and Merry Christmas. I don't have any good ideas for Crocodile yet. After strengthening them, you can study them yourself. There is also the most troublesome MR4. This guy has no fruit ability and speaks and acts slowly. His greatest advantage is his terrifying strength, but judging from his agile posture when playing baseball, his reaction is actually very fast, and he is likely a hidden martial arts genius. Crocodile thought that it would be better not to give him the devil fruit, but to strengthen him in other aspects. He would be satisfied if he could reach the level of Whitebeard too. However, these subordinates also have a common shortcoming, that is, they do not have the heart of a strong person and lack practical experience, especially when facing an unmatched powerful opponent. Whether others, except Bentham, Gardino and Bonus, have the courage to fight to the death still needs to be verified through a series of battles. These people will be the backbone of his subordinates that he can trust in the future. Simply strengthening them is probably far from enough, and they must be trained in all aspects. Early the next morning, Crocodile first instructed MR1 to take 2 Fingers and MR4 to look after the vault at home. Then he brought the rest of the people to the palace and convened a meeting of the Kingdom Water Conservancy and construction officials. These guys are all investors in Eden. At Crocodile command, they rushed over without stopping. After a morning of intense discussion, Crocodile decided to select several locations on the map and determine the directions of several artificial rivers. If these tasks were carried out in the past, it would have been extremely difficult for Alabasta. Not only is the cost huge, but the construction difficulty is so difficult that even a god would shake his head at the sight. However, now that there are 2 people who have awakened the power of the fruit, everything is no problem. I have to say that the people of Alabasta are really lucky. Before leaving, Crocodile suddenly remembered something important and hurried to greet Bentham. "Mr. Zero, just tell me what you want. I will take care of it." Upon hearing the call, Bentham immediately jumped over happily while dancing ballet. Crocodile still couldn't accept his unusual behavior, but it was not easy to blame him in public. He twitched his lips and said, "Go out to sea and find someone for me. This person is very important. Make sure to bring him back safely." What someone that Mr. Zero considers to be so important must be a beautiful woman, right? Bentham asked. blinking his big eyes that were painted with dark green eyeshadow. No, it a man named Walpo, the former king of the Magnetic Drum Kingdom. He was beaten up by the Straw Hat Boy some time ago. He should be in a country around the Magnetic Drum Kingdom now. Crocodile replied with a dark face. The person named Valpo was something that suddenly occurred to Crocodile. This guy was originally a loser. Although his strength was extremely poor, his fruit ability was extremely powerful. The swallow fruit can turn everything eaten into what a user wants. After being beaten away by Luffy, Walpo was exiled to another country and was hunted by the Navy. He could only survive by picking up garbage. But suddenly one day, he found that the toys he made after eating garbage were very popular among children. So Valpo started as a loser who ate garbage and sold things on the street, and he fought his way back to form a multinational company and a consortium. The Valpo alloy he created is very strong, and even the world government and Vegapunk are eager to get it. General Frankie was modified from the Valpo alloy he produced and is very powerful. In the end, Walpo became the king of a country again and was even invited by the world government to attend the World Conference. He became an important figure in the world. Simply a legend. Crocodile is now racking his brains for money all day long. All he thinks about when he walks, sits, or lies down is making money. Just now, I suddenly had a flash of inspiration and thought of this guy, and I was immediately struck by his beauty. This fat guy is simply a moving gold mine. If he can be used properly, he will definitely make more money than Eden City. We can even use this guy to industrialize Alabasta ahead of time and completely get rid of the miserable situation of relying on the weather for food. Therefore, we must get him in our own hands before he becomes successful. Otherwise, if the world government discovers this great treasure, it will take a lot of effort to get it. Walpo Bentham frowned and thought for a while, then his eyes suddenly lit up and he patted himself on the cheek. Is it him with a soft pop sound? Bentham head became exactly the same as Walpo. I didn't expect Yao'd already met him. Crocodile was stunned upon seeing this. What does Zero-chan want to do with him? This guy seems like an idiot. Bentham tilted his head in confusion. I have my own uses. You just need to bring him to safety. Crocodile was too lazy to explain. Okay, hee. It's my honor to serve Mr. Zero. I will be back soon. Seeing that Crocodile was unwilling to say more, Bentham smiled tactfully and skipped away. Wait a minute, Crocodile. Crocodile was about to leave when he suddenly heard a crisp voice calling him not far behind him. Crocodile turned around and saw it was Princess Vivi. What can I do for you, Miss Wednesday? Crocodile asked. Please call me Princess Vivi. Or Vivi is fine too. I don't like the name Miss Wednesday, Vivi said angrily while glaring at Crocodile with a fierce look on her pretty face. Okay Miss Wednesday, what do you want from me? Crocodile thought she was cute when she was angry and continued to tease her deliberately. Vivi couldn't help but feel angry when she heard this, but she had no way to deal with the man in front of her, so she could only pretend to ignore the question of address. I will also go on the parade and keep an eye on you to prevent you from doing any more bad things to the people. Is that so? Crocodile deliberately made an awkward expression, but there is no extra space in the car. Tell me, what conditions do you want for you to take me with you? Vivi obviously didn't believe Crocodile words, and said with her arms crossed with a proud look on her face. Do we really have to go? Crocodile leaned close to Vivi's pretty face and confirmed. You have to go, Vivi answered firmly. There happens to be a maid serving me in the carriage. If you are willing to replace her, that fine. Crocodile showed an inexplicable smile on his face. What? I am a princess of a country, and you want me to be your maid? Vivi's face was full of disbelief. I have given you the opportunity. It's up to you whether you can seize it. Crocodile spread his hands. That the dune buggy I just customized. It has a refrigerator inside, as well as a lot of snacks and cold drinks, Crocodile said, pointing to a luxurious-looking dune buggy in the distance. Vivi looked at the silly and cute Kalu duck beside her angrily, then looked at Crocodile luxury car, and a struggle began to arise in her heart. In order to save the country, she had suffered a lot before, even if it meant being exposed to the wind and sun and covered in bruises. However, Now she no longer has many reasons to convince herself to suffer the pain that she shouldn't have. She is a princess of a country and also a young girl of only 17 years old. Crocodile didn't give her much time to think, and walked straight to the car after he finished speaking. Seeing Crocodile open the door and get in, Vivi reason finally overcame her emotions and she chased after him, shouting, "Wait for me!" The interior of this custom dune buggy by Crocodile is also very luxurious. He referred to the design of the luxury cars in his previous life. There were only two side-by-side seats inside, which were ergonomically designed and could be adjusted to any comfortable angle. The outer layer of the seat is made of luxurious Sea King leather. When you sit on it, you will clearly feel that the seat is constantly emitting coolness. In this extremely hot desert country, it is the ultimate enjoyment. Even King Cobra had never been treated this way. As soon as Vivi got on the bus, she was attracted by the novel design inside and kept looking around. I was even more amazed after sitting on the soft and comfortable seat. Let me make it clear first, I am only responsible for serving tea and water. Don't even think about massaging your legs and shoulders or anything like that. After all, she is a princess of a country. After the brief novelty, Vivi said proudly, "Is that so? Then it better change back to the original maid." She is not only gentle and beautiful, but also very obedient. Crocodile did not indulge her and pretended to stick his head out to call for help. But how could Vivi give up her luxury car and go out in the wind and sun to ride a duck? She quickly reached out and grabbed Crocodile's arm. "Stop, stop, stop. Isn't it enough that I agree?" Crocodile then leaned back in his chair, a barely perceptible smile on his face. "Little girl, it's easy for me to control you." The dune buggy started slowly and moved extremely smoothly without even a hint of shaking. Gardino and others were sitting in another car leading the way, followed by some officials' vehicles, and surrounded by hundreds of Baroque workshop members escorting them all the way. They will start from Albana, pass through the major cities of Alabasta, and finally come to the southernmost coastal area to determine the location of Eden. Alabasta is not very big, and it would take at most 3 days to travel around it by car. "I am thirsty." "Their fruit wine in that box." After the convoy had traveled for a while, Crocodile, who had been resting with his eyes closed, suddenly pointed to an exquisite box and said, "Yes, yes, I got it." Vivi moved reluctantly. After opening the box, Vivi was also a little surprised. There was a thick layer of ice at the bottom of the box, and waves of coolness emanated from it. Not only were there various kinds of drinks on the ice, but there were also many fruits that even she, a princess, had never seen before. "Huh, you really know how to enjoy yourself." Vivi curled her lips and couldn't help swallowing a little. Crocodile took the glass and drank the contents in one gulp, then casually handed the glass back without even raising his eyelids. "This guy really treats me as a maid." Vivi took the cup angrily. Seeing that Crocodile had his eyes closed, he couldn't help but wave his fists at the other party and made a few faces. However, these actions were seen clearly by Crocodile, who possessed advanced observation hockey. Crocodile resisted the urge to laugh, raised his head and glared at Vivi. "Ah!" Vivi screamed in fright, and the cup in her hand almost flew out, and she was in a panic for a moment. Crocodile pretended not to notice and did not pursue Vivi's little action. He just said lightly, "I have been standing in the meeting all morning, and my legs are a little sore. Massage them for me." Although Vivi spoke tough, she was still a little afraid of Crocodile in her heart. Her behavior just now was discovered, which made her feel guilty for a moment. After all the thoughts in her mind came out of her mouth, only a sound that sounded a little obedient was left. "Oh!" Crocodile really enjoyed having a princess massage his legs. The only drawback was that the prince's strength was a little weak. "Hey, didn't you eat? Try harder." "Your legs are as hard as rocks." "They hurt my hands." "How can you expect me to use more force?" Vivi felt a little aggrieved, but said fiercely. Crocodile was stunned when he heard this, and pinched his leg, which was indeed a little hard. He forgot that his muscle strength was now countless times stronger than before. It is indeed a bit difficult to ask Vivi, an ordinary person, to massage his legs. When training a girl with a stubborn personality like this, you can't rush it. You have to do it step by step. Forget it, just take a rest. Crocodile waved his hand, intending to let her go for now. The car fell into an eerie silence again. After more than 2 hours of driving, the convoy finally arrived at their first planned stop, Yuba. This place was once an oasis and a trading city of Alabasta. However, due to the destruction caused by dancing fans, it is now in ruins. Only a few people still insist on staying here, surviving with a little water dug from the ground. Crocodile is no longer willing to spend too much energy on rebuilding such a city. He hoped to move everyone here to the new city of Eden to increase the population of the new city. There will certainly be some stubborn people who are unwilling to leave, and Crocodile cannot force them to do so. The only thing he could do was to extract enough water here, and the rest depended on the locals themselves. The convoy slowly stopped outside the city and everyone got out of the car. The confused Juba people initially observed the newcomers cautiously, until someone noticed that Crocodile, who still stood out from the crowd, was instantly plunged into unprecedented excitement and ecstasy. Crocodile Sama, everyone, come out, Crocodile is here. Lord Crocodile has came to save us. Lord Crocodile must be looking for water for us. People who heard the noise appeared from the dilapidated street corners and alleys, rushing towards the convoy. It was as if there were some rare treasures there. Crocodile looked at the crowd that kept coming towards him and couldn't help but be silent for a moment. In such a huge city, there are less than 10,000 people left. They were all dressed in rags, like beggars. However, he knew that all this was inseparable from his original identity. Even all of this was caused by Crocodile. All he can do now is try his best to compensate these people. The members of Baroque Orcs were afraid that these civilians would run into their boss, so they formed a human wall to try to stop them. But the means were very gentle and no one was hurt, because Crocodile has already told everyone that from now on, they must treat the citizens of Alabasta kindly and not hurt anyone. These people are now the ones who need their protection. Let them come, don't stop them, Crocodile said lightly. The civilians of Juba gradually approached Crocodile, and finally left enough space between the two parties. An old man with a haggard face walked forward tremblingly through the crowd. Crocodile had some impression of him. He was Doto, the father of the rebel leader Kosa, and was very prestigious among the refugees in the city. Dodo slowly walked towards Crocodile, and before he could say anything, he knelt down in front of him and said in a trembling voice, "Lord Crocodile, we have finally got you here." "Excuse me, is what you said in Albany true? Will you really find water for us?" Crocodile said nothing, but silently stepped forward and grasped Dodo's arms to lift him up. Dodo stared at Crocodile's face with hope, waiting eagerly for Crocodile to give him the answer he had always wanted. "Yes, I came here to find a new water source for everyone.